Good afternoon, everybody. I am going to do a quick tutorial on how to do Emboss Resist. And we're going to start off by using a product called Clear Gesso. I am going to paint that using my sponge dauber, my sponge brush, all over the page. And then I'm going to heat set it. And what that's going to do for us is it's going to create a barrier for the page so that the ink that we're going to use to do the embossing won't bleed through. So I'm just going to open it up and just start painting it on. Now I want a nice thick coat where I am going to be stamping so that it doesn't bleed through. The ink doesn't bleed through. Now I have tried this without doing the gesso first to protect the page. And yeah, that was a bad idea. It bled through. So get a really, really good thick coat on. Gesso is a great medium to use in your Bible journaling pages. Now I probably should have had a piece of paper underneath this, but I am going for it without it. Bad idea, but you know now, put your piece of paper underneath it. So let me set that aside. Now I'm gonna get my heat tool and I'm gonna heat it up to dry it. This usually just takes a few minutes to heat going. And I personally prefer the Diane Wakely Clear Gesso. It just has this really smooth texture. And this heat gun does get hot, so you want to be careful not to burn yourself or your page. So you just want to keep moving it around. Almost done. All right, that's all done now. So because I didn't put a piece between, I think I've got 2 pages stuck together, but I can undo. There we go. There we go. Yeah, that's pretty dry. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do, actually it's still a little wet right here, so let me give it a little more heat. All right, I think that'll do it. Now, I'm going to be using a product called Versamark ink, and it's a watermarking ink pad, so it stamps clear. But what it allows us to do is to use a clear embossing powder. And when I heat set this powder, it's gonna melt all together, and it's gonna create a beautiful image. So I'm gonna be using this stamp. This is a wood-mounted stamp. I've cut the middle out because, so I don't pick up ink in the middle of the stamp. But this is a wood-mounted stamp. They have other kinds of stamps. This is a polymer stamp, and you have to have a clear block to use these. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take my ink pad, and I'm gonna set it here so you guys can see, and I'm just gonna really daub that stamp up good, and I'm going to stamp onto my page. I'm gonna press down with good pressure, even pressure, and then lift it up. Can't see anything, but this is really sticky ink. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some of this clear embossing powder, and I'm gonna sprinkle that on my page. And where I stamped with the sticky ink, it's gonna cling to. At least I hope it's gonna cling to it, right? Okay, and then I have a tray that I'm gonna use to dump the excess powder off. So let me get that in place. So I'm just gonna take my Bible page and I'm just gonna dump the excess off. Of course I hit it, so hopefully I didn't mess it up. And then I'm gonna kind of wipe off all of the excess powder. Blow on it a little bit. All right, I think I'm pretty good there. Now, you cannot see the image yet, but when I go to heat it, it's gonna melt that powder. And you may not be able to see this as I'm going, but once I put the Distress Oxide ink over it, it's gonna jump out at you and you'll be able to see it. So I'm gonna heat it, and it's gonna melt the powder, and you actually can see the powder being melted. And this is something you guys cannot see on the page yet. Okay, so I'm gonna let that cool for just a second. And I can see where I got some powder that I didn't get wiped off, but that's okay. You guys will get the point of what we're doing. So I'm gonna take my Distress Oxide ink, and it looks like this. And, sorry, I was checking the camera. I wanted to make sure it was still working. I'm gonna put a finger dauber onto the tip of my finger, and I'm gonna take my ink pad and I'm gonna daub the ink with the ink, daub the ink pad with the ink dauber. And then I'm just gonna kind of start rubbing it on. And this may be too light. I may have to go to a darker color so you guys can see the image. Yeah, let me get a darker color. Let's go with this bright orange. I know this is Kelly Thompson's favorite color, so let's use this bright orange. It's called Carved Pumpkin. Let's see how this looks. All right, there we go. Now we're starting to see the pop of the image that we embossed. And this is called Emboss Resist. And when you go over your words, you can actually see through to the others. You can see the words through the ink with the Distress Oxides. And there you go. That is heat embossing and us doing Emboss Resist technique for Bible journaling. And as you can see, slide my Bible over, it didn't go through. So nice, you can still see a little bit of the orange, but not too bad. So, and if I had a napkin here, I would take it and rub it upon that, and you would be able to, it would take a little more of that ink off of the emboss part. So, hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you guys on Thursday night at Scribble and Grace at Victory Family Church. We'll be starting at 6:30 this week, so hope you can get there. Talk to you soon. Bye.